that here.
So, good morning, everyone. Wonderful to see a full hall, and I think the applause is a bit less for Hotelivate for putting this wonderful show together, for Embassy for building such a great facility, and for Hilton to manage it. So let's start by giving them. When Manav was presented, I was reminded of a movie I thought of last night. And after the first wave, when we were beginning to recover from the shock of a lockdown, on the World Tourism Day 2.5 years ago, we created a small clip to make travel possible, to kind of advertise that please travel, because there is much more to travel than just filling our hotel rooms. So I would just like to play that clip before we start into our conversation, and also for all of you to reflect how AI has been used for everything, and Manav forgot Air India, but it's okay, we come to that. Can we play the clip? Sorry, Bhaskar, go ahead.
Thank you, and I think it's quite coincidental that you and I are here for one big reason. Well, you talked about AI and Air India, but suddenly my thoughts went back to, and it's coincidental, we are both from the Tata group, but in the context of this session, I was suddenly reminded of the Taj Gateway in Mumbai, which was started by Jamsetji, and Air India, which was started by JRD. They both had Tata as their surname, but I think more than the Tata group, they are actually national icons, and it's appropriate or coincidental that you and I are talking on the subject of hospitality and aviation, perhaps. The reason why I thought of that is 120 years back, world class was what Jamsetji thought about when he established that hotel. And JRD 80 years back, or whenever Air India started, was looking at a world-class airline out of India. Therefore, Puneet, what I suggest is that while astute investments, artificial intelligence and interiors has been, aesthetic interiors has been talked about, I also felt that, and I am talking as not as an insider in hospitality, I speak as a user of the hospitality industry and a customer. I think there is something called accessibility and innovation. There was something that they spoke about, things to do or where we need to go. I do believe accessibility and innovation, and we'll come to that in a while. AI, accessibility and innovation. So maybe we can use this session to provoke some thought in this audience, because the numbers are evident. So I would, when we talk about world class, the Jamshedji's vision, in fact, it was purpose that drove setting up that hotel. It was purpose. It was, yes, business was a consequence, but purpose. And that hotel and Indian Hotels by itself has been purposefully driven by leaders who followed, including yourself. Air India again had purpose. Therefore, the changing consumer trends in India was spoken about a little while back, and world class. These two themes, if we were to kind of combine, I wonder how in the hotel industry, particularly in IHCL, you are thinking about that accessibility, as I said, which is, accessing every part of India or the world, how you think about that. In the Taj IHCL, now I'll call it IHCL.
Well, even IHCL was coined by Jamshedji, as the company was always Indian Hotels. So the only thing is we started using it 5 years ago. Well, Bhaskar, what you said and what is relevant for the audience is the purpose, and that was defined by Jamshedji. That community is not just another stakeholder, rather the purpose of the existence of the business. And that is very well inculcated in all Tata Group companies, including ourselves. So when we present our business plan, the bedrock of all our business is the core values of Tata, and on the other side we have the core values of Taj. And Taj stands for trust, awareness and joy. That is trust of all your stakeholders, awareness of your community and doing what you do, and joy in doing so. So I think the idea is to keep doing that, keep maintaining the core. And if you maintain the core, I think being world class, as you said rightly, is a consequence. So undoubtedly, we have always risen to the occasion, proven that. And I think, as you said, it's not just about Taj. I think if we talk about our sector, if we talk about all the brands that have been created in India, they are world class. And I am sure each of them have defined their purpose, and they have a very strong value system. See, we all write business plans. We had a business plan pre-COVID. We had a reset during COVID, and we have a business plan post-COVID, right? So within a span of 5 years, any company might have 3 possible business plans. But you don't change and rewrite your core values every second, third, fourth, fifth year. So I think that is the key. And I think for all our group companies, that has helped us a lot.
Well, there was a reference to human assets and human beings in Manav's presentation. So I want to, explore 2 themes. One was the opportunity that he painted. And I want to really challenge this. I want to provoke a certain discussion between you and me. And the other one is on people. The hospitality industry, according to me, is neither B2C or B2B. At its core, it's P2P, people to people. So everything else is an enabler. The room is an enabler, the location is an enabler. It's people serving people. So if I were to start with the second P, which is the customer who stays in a hotel or dines in the hotel, the change we are seeing in India and the underserving that we are doing to all of them, whether in airlines or in hospitality, is evident, not because we were underserving them before, but because the consumers changing. Let me just give you one example. Gone are the days when companies used to think that India lives in Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, etc. It's now evident that there is a Bharat and there's an India. And that is also kind of, those aspirations are merging thanks to extraordinary work being done in other sectors, which is communications, satellite television. So you see the same programs any part of India. So the first premise is that while India is, going to be the fastest growing economy for a long time, and we are proud of that, it is also a consumer who's aspiring for a better life. And that better life has at the back of it a better income. So the per capita GDP, which is going to go from 2,300 to 5,000, is going to be that tailwind in this industry or across industry, but every industry is after that. So we have to figure out how we can slice out various consumer segments in various parts of the country to be able to be ahead of the crowd. So it's a P2P business, understanding the second P and using the first P to deliver that. You can use artificial intelligence, you can invest, you can do better rooms. But the truth, in your hotel, I remember once they said there are 17 moments of truth or something like that, which the people deliver. So how do you think of that is my...
First, on a lighter note, I thought one of those P would include my first name, but so I think there are various ways to tackle that. The easiest one, especially in India, is regional.
Regional.
Absolutely going by region, and within the region, the rituals, especially the food. I think the diversity that India offers from one region to the other, and our regions could be very small because the population would be very large, even on a small footprint, right? So I think one of those things is, yes, take whatever is world class as you defined it, but keep your core also. So if you can marry the let's say for the sake of not having a better word, marrying the East and West, the West style with your authentic, genuine, regional cuisines, cultures, religions, temples, Ayurvedas, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, if we keep that in mind, I think we will be world class not only as a nation with the high growth, but will be world class in offering the people the experience that they are seeking as India becomes more affluent and as people are willing to spend more.
That's right. I think this aspiration is not limited to acquiring more watches or jewelry or a better car. It's going, especially amongst the young, it's beyond acquisition, it is about experiences. And there again, differentiated experience, that's why I was talking about innovation, that is accessibility and innovation. Somewhere cut and paste of what the West does in hospitality, according to me, is limited in its appeal in India. If you remember years ago, MTV got Indianized. Not MTV did not influence Indian music, but yeah, India has always, been absorbing a lot of Western ideas and developed its own model. So that is that discovering what you just said, literally micro markets and then delivering to that.
I remember getting all the time a complaint from Bhaskar because he never likes sambar at breakfast in our hotels because he likes the Mangalorean sambar. Right? Then I got a lecture from him that you have to create some kind of a base and then come up with something. So if you want Mangalorean, it's like this. If you want Gujarati, it's like that. If you want from Chennai, the sambar is like
Yeah,
that.
I was just challenging him on innovation. How come you guys don't innovate? It was about, the sambar has several tastes across the country. And unless the hotelier, we try to, through artificial intelligence of face recognition technology, you can figure out whether I'm going to like the Madras sambar or the Gujarati sweeter sambar, and then deliver it. That is innovation to me. And there are companies not in the hospitality industry. So innovation is something which should be a theme, I feel, for the customer, primarily driven by customer. The second point which I was wanting you to think about is this rising tide, 5 trillion or $5,000 per capita. It is the tailwind. So, like they say in Hindi, it's a Behti Ganga. See, you dip, you'll get your share. So I can promise you, and I know in aviation we've come out of one of the most difficult times. But in the group we've taken a bet. We've taken a bet, and people have been wide-eyed about 470 aircraft, $100 billion commitment, because you take a bet. Now, the question I'm asking is really, in this rising tide, each one of us has to make a choice. Beyond that rising tide, what am I going to do to rise? And I think that was shown about the rising incomes. But we'll all be successful, I promise you. You will not be successful if you make a mistake. But what are you going to do ahead? Above and beyond, that's the right word, I guess. That is really my question.
Yeah, I think if we were to use the INSEAD theory of, the red ocean, and then came the theory of the blue ocean, they started calling themselves the Blue Ocean Institute. What you are suggesting is this is a rising ocean which is pushing you up. And we all have collectively, the world has an opportunity to be world class, and the vision has to be larger. The vision has to have, as we said before, a purpose. It's not just about numbers, as Manav was also saying. Everybody will do 20% plus RevPAR growth, some will do 25, some will do 30. I don't think that is any more questionable unless some other black swan event happens. But what is the larger purpose of positioning your company, your sector, your nation, your cultures, etc.? And that opportunity is huge because of that rising tide or that rising ocean in which we are currently operating.
When I talk about experiences, out of the blue I pulled out, when I looked at travelers on aircrafts and stayers at hotels, and I suspect it may not be a long-term trend, but I am observing, it may be a very unkind word, unkind phrase, I'm observing vagabond millionaires, which is, they are wanting experiences of very different kinds and are willing to pay a good price for it. And that is emerging as a new segment, I think. Certainly in aviation we are seeing it. People are flying to various destinations for new experiences. And the vagabond nature is what you just said. It's neither business, nor family and friends, nor a big fat Indian wedding that Manav spoke about. It is just discovering a new place, a new experience. And therefore, delivering that is again a hospitality challenge. Maybe this is not evident in India yet, but I'm hearing conversations about people doing weekend treks and, willing to spend money. It's not just backpacking as a student and staying in the YMCA.
So I think all that is definitely happening, but for it to be sustainable, Bhaskar, I think Manav said in the presentation, we talk very less about people because ultimately the people have to deliver on that promise. And I think, and I would encourage, I see some in the audience who are working with us also, together with CII, we have committed to skill 100,000 people by 2030, of which 25% will be women, which changes the graph that Manav had presented of the people in this room itself. And this is not what we need. We are 28,000 people today, maybe we need another 5, 10, 15 to get to 40. And we have already opened 16 skilling centers. The last one we opened was in Lucknow. So I think it's not like what we are doing, what we can collectively do, like all companies, the way we conducted ourselves during COVID in helping frontline workers, in providing meals to to all those people who need it, whether migrant workers or in hospitals. I think we need to have, as I keep saying, holistic picture, and everybody should do what they can, and ultimately, if you look after your people, I think the rest is pretty much easy, and I think that has been demonstrated by definitely the Taj again and again, including in the aftermath or during the terror attack. So I think the people is the key difference. People is the key difference, especially for India. India's population sweet spot is going to come in 2042. We have a very young population. So we have the people, we have the possibilities to skill them. This is not a very high skilled business that takes 10 years of education. And if we get the right people, deliver the right experience, it should be a smooth ride on this rising tide. Shall we not ask audience, because
Yes,
the time is running out, if
of course.
anyone has any question, otherwise we keep our dialogue on. Anyone has anything they would like us to speak
Suggestions,
about?
questions, challenges to our notions. Are there mics around?
No, I don't see any hands up. Do you think in the airline, yes, the aircrafts are full, seats are expensive, people love Vistara, Air India is on the verge of, catching up with all the investments that are coming in. But do you see any change in consumer trend given your experience of other consumables like jewelry or watches or hospitality or airlines post-COVID?
Clearly, the discovery by even the migrant labor. Today, if you have to get migrant labor to Bangalore from Sheikhpura in Bihar or Gorakhpur in UP, they prefer to fly. And Indigo has done a great job of connecting. That's the other thing, that choice that Indigo made many years ago, and the bet they took on small town India and frequency to smaller destinations left them really unchallenged and very meaningful kind of network that was built. Now, the migrant worker included, otherwise it would be a train or a bus from Sheikhpura to Patna, and then Patna you take the train. He realizes that 4 days of lost income at the other end was not worth it, compounded by the fear of COVID. So at that level, behavior has begun to change, and of course post-COVID the rest, business travel has come back and so on. Even amongst those working class today, they prefer business class because of the distance and the so-called fear. I don't know how long that will drive growth, but at the base is aspiration, which I said. Every Indian wants to see a better life, use his or her time better. So I was just telling you yesterday about an example of access to Somnath, the temple in Saurashtra near Porbandar. It's a challenge to reach there, but today connectivity is available at least up to Rajkot, and otherwise early days it would be so government actually sponsoring now groups from the south to go to the west or to go to Banaras to just see India. So the aspiration, of course Indian pride is also driving that apart from the aspiration. So travel, I'm not even talking about air travel, I'm talking about travel itself is a great motivation for people, and it's become, infrastructure is today much better, you're faster on the road as Manav was saying, or by train has got a long way to go, but air is the preferred mode of travel for many, and therefore long-term future for aviation certainly is very, very good.
So is it for hospitality with foreign tourist arrivals less than 60% of pre-COVID. We are hoping that will come to 100 by October this year or start hitting 100% in the second half. And the elan of Dekho Apna Desh and those first-time travelers, I think our sector is in a good space, and I hope, I wish, I pray it stays like that at least for foreseeable future. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes.
There's a question. Yes.
Hi Bhaskar, this is Jitu here.
Hi.
So, don't you, everybody's talking about airline travel and punctuality and all of this, but don't you feel that as a business class traveler, we've been downgraded in the last few years as a business travel in terms of food, in terms of business class seats, though actually we are paying much more than before, but every business class traveler now feels like an upgraded economy traveler. What are the airlines doing to improve us this status in the business class is concerned?
Good question, sir. I wonder if this is your question related to domestic travel or international?
Yeah, domestic travel.
Domestic travel. Yeah. To be honest, domestic, whether there has been a dilution of the business class travel experience, you are a customer, therefore you are speaking the truth and I must accept that. But just to give you the overall picture of Indian aviation, domestic travel doesn't make money because of the tax structure in India. Every company needs an international travel business to be able to make money. That's one part. So there's been a write-off literally saying domestic is LCC. LCC as in low cost carrier. Literally a write-off till when Jet Airways kind of collapsed, Vistara tried to come back, and now Vistara is at whatever percentage market share. Air India is coming back. But I agree with you that over the years this giving up the domestic travel, because they are 1.5 hours to 3 hours travel duration, experience is probably been diluted, and it's been kind of cost driven, but we have to get it back and get it back fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chhatwal.